founder of Sixth Man.
Yes.
And explain what Sixth Man does if someone has never experienced it.
So we take bands and their fans on vacation. We charter cruise ships and we do music festivals at sea. And so we'll take 20 or 30 bands and 2,000 or 2,500 guests or fans on vacation for 4 days and see what happens.
Explain how you process through those good years and the hard years, and how do you kind of stay sane in the midst of the highs and lows of leading a company?
You know, the highs for us are validating moments to kind of remind you that all those times when you think about quitting, and you know, when you tell your family that you're going to quit one job to go start a business that hasn't been started before, really, and you're going to rent a ship and take people out to sea, it's a little scary. So you need the validating moment. So the highs, you use those to kind of keep you going through the tough times. The lows, I think the lows are your greatest opportunity. You know, you learn who you are during the low, what you're made of, what's important. We had a cruise that was scheduled to go out of New Orleans in 2005. And when Katrina came through, it got canceled. And the cruise line was only responsible to give us back the money for the ship, but not for the bands and the marketing and all the things that we had spent a whole year planning. And we only did one cruise a year at that time. So we were out of business. I mean, we were literally out of business. But after doing that for 5 years, we didn't realize this. We thought we were just throwing a music festival, but we realized during that time when our guests called us and said, keep the money, just don't go out of business. We realized that we were forming a community, and that turned us, from that moment forward, we took the community approach. We stopped thinking about concerts. We started thinking about, we are bringing people together to make them stronger. And once we did that, it changed the shape of the trajectory of the entire company.
I'm curious about two things. One is, how did you figure out that model that worked? And other people that are trying to figure out their models, how could you encourage them in that in-between process?
You know, for us, again, we didn't have the luxury to run commercials or do advertising. So we had to adapt early on. And in my previous career as a manager for a band, you know, our philosophy was take such good care of your current fans that they come back and they bring new fans with them, right? You create a gravitational pull around the people that care about what you're doing. And you nurture them so much and let them know how much you care and that how grateful you are that they're supporting you, that they can't help but talk about it. And when they talk about it, they're going to bring more people into it. So our philosophy has always been take such good care of our current guests that they come back and bring their friends with them. And we average 65, 70% return year over year. Wow. That's it. I mean, we spend so little on marketing and trying to catch people that way. And that just became the way we had to do it, and then it worked. So that's how we do it. It's how we treat our employees. That's, you know, we recruit when it's time to hire somebody. It always comes 1 degree away from someone that works there, almost every time. So that's kind of that's our model that works.
I think it's been really interesting because you've been going through the process of training a new team to take over. Not that you're leaving necessarily at this moment, but you're transitioning the business. So I think you've been thinking about what's in my head and how do I translate that to other people. So I want you to share some of those with us. The first one, and I don't know if I get it exactly right, but this idea of crafting a moment.
So when we were growing as a company, you know, we've always attracted people that really care. We believe we're in the hospitality business, not the music business. You know, when people come and say, they come to apply at our company and say, I've always wanted to be in the music business. I'm like, go to Nashville. You're so close. You're 250 miles away. Keep going. We're in the hospitality and the community business. And we want people who are gonna approach it that way. So we've always attracted people that care. At the same time, we got great opportunities to grow. And growing is painful. And all of a sudden, you take a group of people who took so much pride in spending a year on making something so special and unique and perfect and, you know, for the guests so that they would come back and bring their friends. And you say, congratulations, now we're going to triple or quadruple in size. And you see their faces just drop. And it's like, and it's not that they're not happy about growth, but they're like, how are we going to do as good a job? How are we going to take as good a care if we have to do so much more? Mm-hmm. And so we had to take a moment to say, well, what are we doing? Like, what are we really about? Are we here to sell cabins? Are we here? Is it by the number of cruises we do? What is it? And now, on the quest for the moment, that's all we celebrate. Every night our staff meeting on board, all right, let's hear about moments. You know, we'll throw out $5 poker chips. Tell me a story today where you either went above and beyond, held the line, made it right. Tell me the moment. And and it's people look forward to
Say
it.
those things again. You just whipped through.
Tell me a time where you went above and beyond. You saw an opportunity to really take it over the top, which there's a million of. There's make it right. We screw up. I mean, we just do. We make huge promises that we can barely keep. And I'm as guilty as anyone.
Anyone else in the room agree with that? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we guaranteed the weather one year. We said if the people were so frustrated this cruise because they'd had bad weather 3 years in a row, and I'm like, we're going to guarantee the weather. If the weather's not 70 degrees by noon on the pool deck, then beer's half price. You know what I mean? And it's like, we got lucky and we're out there, please, you know. But,
it's like 70.
but like those are things you don't tell your CFO before you do it.
So culture, you've mentioned culture. That's a huge deal to you.
I think so. I mean, these days, it's not like it's a factory where we can put anyone there to do it. I mean, our business really is our people standing in front of guests or artists, making promises and keeping them, right? I mean, that's it. I can't do it. The celebrations I get from people are, I met so-and-so on the cruise and they took care of me. I could never do that by myself. There's no way. You know, it's like Leroy was saying, like, you can, if you saw what I can do by myself, it's ugly. I mean, it's ugly. I have to be a part of a team doing it. And I think these days, I think the culture, I think that's everything. I think we put that number one over anything. When we're hiring someone, we're not really concerned. If you don't know one thing or another, we can teach that. But if you feel like you're going to embrace our culture and it will embrace you, we got something to work with.
Another thing I wrote down last time I was with you was just this idea of being a friend or a fan. I thought that was a really interesting concept. Another thing you teach your team. Can you explain that idea?
Yeah. So when we first started the business, you ask a band to go on a ship. Even the first band we worked with, I managed Sister Hazel at the time, and they were the first client, the guinea pig to do this. And when I told them we were going to go on a ship with their fans, they're like, "No way! We're not going to be trapped on a ship for 4 days with our fans." And some bands still say that. So we've had to work really hard to demonstrate to them that the people that come on these cruises, they're not super fans. I mean, they're super fans, but they feel like they're your friends already. They have the autograph, they have the photo, they're older, they feel a real respect for what you do and what you've done. And we haven't had a big issue with that. And so to do that, we had to demonstrate that as our staff. So that means none of our staff can take pictures or do anything that would maybe, tip the artist off that maybe it wasn't a safe place. So, the big joke for me is at the end of my career, I have no pictures. I have no pictures of any of these artists because I've had to, hold the line and be a good example. But what I do is I have amazing stories, and obviously I have an advantage. But when I say fan or friend, I say you choose. When I see someone walk up to Kid Rock and they just have the camera out, he sees a fan that's coming to take something from them, and what he really wants is just a genuine connection. Like, hey, thanks for your music, whatever. And when people leave the camera in. Every time he says, "What's your name?" They end up having a 5 or 10 minute conversation. Maybe they don't get a photo, or maybe at the end he says, "Hey, let's grab a picture." But you will get such a richer engagement. My favorite one with him was we were in the casino one night, it's 2 a.m. This guy's sitting there in a wheelchair, like a young, strong guy. He just didn't have legs. And Kid Rock comes out and just sits on his lap. The guy had his camera out. I'm like, put the camera away. And he's like, "What? Who are you?" And I was like, "Just trust me." And Kid Rock comes walking through, sits on his lap and says, "Take me to my cabin." Okay, so this guy, now he's rolling Kid Rock through the ship on his wheelchair, right? Now, he had told his wife that he was just going to the casino for a little bit. Well, he's so excited, he forgets to call his wife. Well, anyway, Kid Rock's like, "Come in the cabin." This guy's with Kid Rock till 7 a.m. in the cabin, telling stories and listening to new songs. No photo, no nothing. So all of a sudden, he goes back to his cabin. His wife just lights him up. "Where have you been? We were worried about you." And then he tells her, "I was with Kid Rock all night." Now it's even worse. Now I wasn't involved. I didn't call you. So the next day I had to introduce his wife to Kid Rock just to get him out of the doghouse. But if you just resist that, the artists know. They know that you want a picture. But if you can resist that, you can open up a whole new set of doors, I feel like.
Now you're thinking a lot. You've been doing some writing and concepting around this idea of sustainability as a leader. Like, what does it take for you to sustain and to thrive in our society? So share with us some of the things you've been thinking about related to that concept.
So I just got exposed to social entrepreneurship a few years ago. I didn't really know what it was. When people asked me what I want to do, I'd just say it. I didn't really know. It just sounded really good. I didn't know. But as I'm at this stage, I've been using the term wake. I mean, it's easy when you're on a ship, you know, you spend a lot of time looking forward at the water ahead of you. But if you ever go to the back of a cruise ship, I mean, stand over it. It's really amazing. There's a ship going through and you see this huge wake just going through. And I always think like, what's my wake going to be? What's our company's wake going to be? So I just feel like we have a responsibility to think about the wake that we leave. And it's really centered me around in Atlanta. You know, we just got involved, my wife and I did, with So Worth Loving, with Erin Erickson and So Worth Loving. We just love what she's doing, and through you learning all the things that are out there. So if there's any experience that I have, that I've mistake or anything over the last 15 years that I can share with an entrepreneur or someone who's trying to start a family but build a business, or any of the things, and just learn from that, it gives me great joy.
A lot of the people that we interact with are hiring their first people. Like it's them, they're the solo entrepreneur for a long time, or wannabe entrepreneur because they're not making any money yet. But then they start realizing there's more work to be done than they can do on their own. So what advice do you have for hiring people?
I have one of my first people in the room right now.
That's right, you do.
I do. I would just say that, fortunately, we were very much alike, which was not good for everyone. but you know, this is the complementing strength. You know, I use the term promise maker, promise keeper all the time. I'm a great promise maker, and you got to have someone that thrives on keeping the promises. So depending on what side you're on, you know, I think the first person you hire, not only do you have to have as good a chemistry as you have, but you have to embrace the fact that you're probably going to be wired very differently if it's going to work. The first couple people we hired, you know, there some moments we look at each other like, what? Well, that makes no sense, but we knew we needed each other. And the promise maker needs the promise keeper to say, hey, I got you, but why don't you, let me help you make some better promises, because your promises are causing me a lot of pain. You know what I mean? You know, and so our CFO did that with me. She's like, you come back and you want me to get excited about all these deals you're cutting, and they're like 48 different kind of deals. That's really hard to manage. You know, what if I give you 3 deals and you can choose any of the 3 and then come back and I'll get excited with you? You know what I mean? I'm like, sounds great.
What do you wish someone would have told you 10, 15 years ago? If you were starting 6-man right now, what do you wish someone would have told you that you know now?
I see a lot of people wrestle over hiring someone like a senior level person where they may have to pay them more than they are, like their biggest salary, and they wrestle with it. I don't know if I can afford it or whatever. In every instance where I've had to make that choice, it has paid off so quickly. So having the courage to, if you get the right person, to say, we need this person, and the first 3 months might feel weird when it makes it a little tighter at the end of the month, but those people, if they're the right people, they pay themselves off so quickly. I'm mad at myself, so many regrets for how long I waited to hire a CFO or a CMO, or you talk yourself out. It's really easy to talk yourself out of it when you're barely getting by, you're carrying credit card debt, but there's, it's almost like you can't afford not to do it. And so I wish someone would have said, hey, you're going to come to these crossroads where you're not sure if you're ready for a CFO or a CMO or whatever it is, and it's going to be painful for a few months, but just go for it. Invest in really great people. That's great. Yeah.
Andy Levine, thank you.